For those of you who don't know me, I'm Hugh Joswick, and most people I know maybe don't know Christy, but hello, welcome. And so tonight, yeah, it's okay. You're close. Thanks. We're going to be talking about a number of books. This one in particular, Awakening the Balanced Mind, which is which is a completely bound new book, which is going to be replacing my old gesture of balance, which is kind of falling apart here. So, but we'll talk a little bit about this later. And I come here tonight being somewhat of a book peddler and wanting to share with you the kind of miraculous year, I think you could say, that the publishing companies associated with Tarthang Tulku have had. We're only halfway through the year, and there are now 5 new books out this year, which is quite remarkable. And 4 of them from Dharma Publishing and 1 from Press, which we actually were involved with this, Patricia. So, and this came out last year. It has a 25 publication date, but really it only became available. We only got the books back from the printer in mid-December, so I figure it's 2026 for this. But I want to make you aware of this kind of marvelous year that these publishing companies have had. And, I don't think that many Nyingma students, or at least when I talk to them, are aware that these books are out. And it's very nice collection. And I kind of wanted to just do a little advertising or a little bit of introduction to these books, because I think that the Awakening the Balanced Mind, which is another new book, this published this year, relates to these other books that have been published. So I'll get to this new book in a moment, but by Tarthang Tulku in a moment. But I wanted first to just kind of make you aware of these different books, and I'm going to just do a little summary or hawking of these books. So in case how many of you are aware of these 5 new books from Dharma Publishing? Or, okay, 2, 3, okay, very good. Just one, okay. So this is a pretty marvelous year in terms of amount of books that are published. First, I'll look at Mongol Press, since I'm Hugh Joswick, and I am the managing editor of Mongol Press, which is the kind of the academic imprint of Dharma Publishing. So we're related but different. And the first book that I wanted to look at is Guardians of the Dharma, the 16 Arhats in Tibet. And this was, as I said, this is kind of published in late last year, so I'm including it on this year's group of books here. But it's really the first book of its kind that gathers together information into one volume that for the important role that the Arhats played in the Himalayan region. And, most Tibetans, recognize, the prevalence of images and the stories of the 16 Arhats within Tibet. And it's no surprise for them that these images of the Arhats are found all throughout the region. And, according to the Buddhist tradition, the Buddha chose 16 arhats to preserve and protect the Dharma until the coming of the next Buddha. And they were, they pledged to do so until the coming of the next Buddha. And so they have this honored place in the landscape of Tibet. And as they're said to reside in different places and different locations, which protect the local inhabitants. And however, for those, raised in the West with their understanding of, myth and legends, it might seem completely strange to a Western eye that, the Arhat should be so prominent in the Tibetan region. After all, they're kind of more associated as like the first turning heroes, the turning of the Dharma in India. And why should they be honored in this Mahayana region, the northern regions of Buddhism, which is Mahayana in orientation? And their hero, according to this kind of vulgarized view, is the Bodhisattva, the one who is somehow beyond the Arhat. So how is it that these 16 Arhats are found wherever you look in the Himalayan region? So that's one of the mysteries that this book presents and solves. And the role of the Arhat in China has been pretty much well studied, but never really for Tibet and the Himalayas. So this is a really interesting book. The second kind of mystery that the book explores are these rare collection of paintings from Bhutan that were given to Tarthang Tulku way back in the 1990s by the Bhutanese royal family. And these are beautiful pictures, and reproduced here, all 18 of them, because there's the Buddha and other ones, but of the 16, but none of the images match the traditional descriptions or the iconography of that is represented in many Tibetan ceremonies, that honor the 16 Arhats, and that's performed, throughout Tibet with, these, all schools perform certain kind of ceremonies celebrating them. In any case, the heart of, so we were able to find a art historian at the University of Virginia who was able to make educated guesses as to really who these characters were and the significance of their lives. So this is really kind of an interesting thing, and we found this. Ariana Mackey is her name, and her work is really a fascinating example of art historical scholarship. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend that. But the heart of this collection is really the tales of each of these individual arhats that were gathered from Tibetan sources and told by the Tibetan Lama, Lodin Dagyab. And so this presents, really, elaborate stories of the arhats, sometimes magical, sometimes more human elements, with their struggles and, faith in the Dharma. So highly recommend it. And of the books that I brought here tonight to show you, this one I can offer you a 30% discount. So if you were for a limited time, if you entered the discount code NI student, Nyingma Institute student, you can purchase this book for 30% off from the Mongolem Press website. Mongolem Press, think Mongolem Press. The next book I want to discuss these are from Dharma Publishing, and these can be purchased from the Dharma Publishing site. So this one is Ron Purser's Mind Space, Discovering Meditation Without a Meditator. And those of you who are familiar with Ron's first, or not his first book, but the notable book, McMindfulness, How Meditation Became the New Capitalist Spirituality, know that he's really critical of the mindfulness movement and the way it kind of became popularized and the way it seemingly provides more hope than it can deliver. And from like using mindfulness to soothe stress and promise your productivity will increase, or mindfulness is a way of handling anxiety and provide health benefits like lowering blood pressure, living longer, etc. All of which is true, I think. But the mindfulness movement, as Ron Purser discusses, is one that really just provides a way of coping with an increasingly pressured world that we live in. And so it kind of misses the liberating quality of meditation and mindfulness that you might get from a Buddhist perspective. And it didn't really have a way of questioning or examining the nature of our experience, which is so central to Tarthang Tulku's teachings and the way meditation, the way he presents meditation. So in this new book, then, Ron really examines the mindfulness in light of Tarthang Tulku's Time, Space, and Knowledge book. And in fact, his original intent when he started this was to provide a commentary on the first book of the TSK, Time, Space, Knowledge series. But as he started writing it, it got way beyond a line-by-line commentary of the book. And it really captures the spirit of TSK, presenting it in such a way to speak to a contemporary audience. So Ron conveys this new vision of Tarthang Tulku and examines the idea of space and meditation, properties of mind that allow us to live in time more creatively and with the knowledge that we can begin to appreciate and enjoy. So buy this book and discover the relevance of TSK now. Okay, so a few more to pitch here, and then we'll come to the fifth book of the Robin Caton, who some of you know, written a book called The Undreamed Self: Unleash the Joy and Creativity Behind Thought, Story, and Identity. So this really exemplifies this creativity and knowledgeability that Ron Purser is talking about. And she describes her encounters with Tarthang Tulku's teachings. And it's really kind of a great introduction to Rinpoche's later writings, particularly like the Lotus Trilogy ones, Lotus Mind, the Lotus Body, Lotus Language, and such titles as Keys of Knowledge and things. There are other texts that I'm not sure all Nyingma people have really grabbed onto that are published and available. So Robin here is kind of it's a really great introduction and exploration of these writings, and she brings poetry, analysis, and personal exploration of encounters with Tarthang Tulku's writings. And so she really invites the reader to participate in the process of examining creativity and thought, story and identity, nature of self, undreamed self. So, she really has a gift for finding short summaries of short contemplations, really what they are, maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs, and they're, I don't know if you can see that online here, 2 or 3 paragraphs where they provide the reader something to ponder about and think about. And so, begin to develop larger questions about your own life and what's important for a meaningful life. So another highly recommended book. Another book yet, Dharma Publishing, Dharma Publishing, Dharma Publishing has, published a few over time, but to do 5 books in one year is amazing. It really is. Anyway, so the third book here that I want to talk about is Jack Petranker's One with the World, A Path to Living with Presence and Appreciation. And in this book, he kind of elaborates that much more on the idea of story that Robin was introducing, and both the benefit of stories, of making sense of our lives, and the dangers that stories present to us if we attribute too much identity to them, or to get too wrapped up and think that our stories is what is real and what is available to us. So Jack, who I think actually gave a talk here a few weeks ago on this book, is kind of guided by a full presence mindfulness, which developed from years of working with Rinpoche's time-space knowledge writings. And it's really kind of a thought-provoking way of dealing with meditation in our lives today. How do we give meaning to our lives? How does language function? And kind of how do we share experience? And cast this kind of in the background. There's like the social and political uncertainty of our time that he is fully aware of, and talks about kind of the disintegration of political structures, ignoring the crisis of community and environment, and the inability of people really to listen to one another. So this transformation, personal and social level, is not so much changing who we are, but opening up a new vision for how we can be. So this, of course, resonates with the idea of time, space, and knowledge as a new vision. And it really, again, invites us through many exercises to explore the way we experience the world and how our stories shape our understanding and shape our experience. Another highly recommended book. So all these 3 new books here, the ones by Ron Purser and Robin Caton, Jack Petranker, provide really good discussion and exercises, experiments even, to try for ourselves to, notice the limits of the way you've been living and the possibilities that we have been ignoring for having greater freedom and appreciation of our lives. So all 3 are excellent teachers. They've taught in the Nyingma organizations for many, many years, and are longtime students and contemplators of Rinpoche's writings. So buy them all. the final book that I want to talk about as the subject of today's Dharma talk. It's Awakening the Balanced Mind, a guide to meditation, self-healing, and awareness, which is a reissue and it's not just a reissue, but a revision of Gesture of Balance, which has been well read here. But it's one of the first books that Rinpoche wrote for a Western audience in 1977. So this new title and revision makes the book useful not only kind of as an introduction to meditation, but as a guide for longer time students to really develop awareness and confront life honestly and directly. So again, the new book has a lot of exercises in them to help you with your practice. And it's presented in such a way that a beginning student can recognize the value of sitting. And at the same time, the more experienced student can be, develop one's understanding of meditation and understand the possibility that one could meditate all the time. And so, too often, I think beginning students or students that are interested in meditation under the sway of these kind of cultural models of what meditation can do, the McMindfulness model that Ron Purser had talked about, that they think the goal of meditation is to have a perfectly quiet mind, sit in perfect silence, and perhaps in a full lotus position, and relax completely in that. With that in mind. So that and it's no wonder that beginning people often have a difficult time with that ideal of meditation in mind when they begin. Particularly Western secular students. That's a little different if you're entering a monastery, but you might have some more idea of entering a monastery and what you're getting yourself into. But for those that are attracted by things they see in Whole Foods at the checkout counter and the magazines of mindfulness that are there, you might be a little disappointed to find you're stuck with yourself here in your meditation activity, or not self, as we discover. But in any case, the idea that so many people have a tough time with meditation if they begin with that in mind. I was just at a college reunion recently, and I met, a very successful classmate who the doctor said he had to lower his blood pressure and learn meditation in order to continue, to handle stress, and I barely talked with him, we were friendly, but not friends, but he really was intrigued by the work here that we do at Nyingma Institute, and approached me many times over the weekend trying to find out more about meditation and what the approach here with meditation was. He really appreciated the medical goals of meditation, the physiological effects meditation has, but he really thought it was just change that came about because you could sit for a long time. And that was kind of the mindset. Longer and longer sessions of sitting. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's nothing. But if you come in with that, with this idea that one's health and mind are automatically going to be improved because you're sitting better. It didn't work. And after a year of, kind of long frustrations, he quit the whole idea of meditation. I don't know, does any of you, does that ring true for any of you? Most of you are quite long time in practice, but you recognize that sense of frustration with starting out with these big ideals of blank mind. In any case, Rinpoche's new book, I'm going to call it a new book, even though it is kind of a rewriting of Gesture of Balance, suggests that that's quite a naive understanding of what meditation is. It's not really a state to achieve, and it's not really learning about how to sit in mental silence, although that could be part of it, but rather it's dealing with whatever arises in experience. Perhaps finding silence in whatever arises, but this practice of meditation is something that requires the highest degree of honesty in dealing with what arises for us, what's directly in front of us. And so the value of this new book, Awakening the Balanced Mind, is to guide one towards this all-inclusive notion of meditation. Something about the way the new book is shaped that's a little more polished than the Gesture of Balance, that makes it a guide to be what it means to be fully present, to borrow Jack's idea of full presence, mindfulness, but it's not, it's a little different. One of the great features of this new book is that there's a practice companion at the back of the book, which is really helpful, and it guides one to practices that are found in the book to develop your meditation. And it's really, it handles, various practices and exercises, and they're laid out and structured in very detailed ways, making it possible to see that this meditative awareness that is talked about in the book is really is really central and develops throughout the text, which some people in reading the Gesture of Balance might not have found so apparent. Of course, I'm not really interested in comparing these two books or all of these other books with this book tonight, but I'm sure many fans of Gesture of Balance will have their opinions as to which one they prefer. But how many of you have ever read or reread one of Tarthang Tulku's books and found like there were new insights and thoughts that you had never read before? Mary, okay. I say myself, Jill, and Patricia, yeah. And it's like, how is that possible? It's like you read the book and you say, okay, I got kind of an understanding. But it seems like every sentence has something to say. In every paragraph, there's like a new practice that you find in there to do. If you're like me, that's one of the great pleasures of reading and rereading Tarthang Rinpoche's books. It's like the more background you have, the more understanding of the Buddhist tradition you have, the more you yourself have developed internally or spiritually, the more the books begin to speak to you on a different level. The more, the passages seem to reveal an understanding that you didn't see the first time. And that's one of the great advantages here of the new volume here, this new transmission of let's see, of this book from the 1970s, because you can read it anew with the words of Tarthang Tulku and new insights. I'm going to say new insights are guaranteed to occur. So, Jill, yeah.
So what I'm thinking of as I'm listening to you is the gap between reading and even rereading the material, which you might also be combining with some sitting time, some meditation time, and I try to let one merge to the other. But how much more life can come into that reading if you're having someone to work with, or that led me to wonder if the Institute has thought about, I'm just going to use the term book club, but I don't mean that. I mean the opportunity for people who are doing their reading, but have the opportunity to do a class that is a book per quarter, let's say, where you can do your reading, but you can also bring that material to the group and with a leader and gain so much more. I'm just sitting and listening to you now. I want to go home and pick up the gesture of balance once again, and of course, look for the new volume and make time. How will I make time to also do these? Because it's so motivating to listen to you. So I've got several questions in there. What are your thoughts on those points?
Well, I said I was coming here peddling books. In the second term in the fall semester, or coming up, I'm going to be teaching this book, Awakening the Balanced Mind. So that begins October to December. So mid-October to
I'm glad I asked.
December. Yeah. That's one one answer. The second answer is that we do have ongoing classes, and I fully agree with you that there's so much more to learn from each other than just being with the text on your own. You certainly can work with it and develop that way as well, but there's so much more to have the feedback and to hear what other people are thinking about it, and the way in which we engage with reading and practice. And it's also very helpful to exchange ideas about practice. It really helps motivate practice as well. Yeah. That's the ideal of a class here at the Nyingma Institute. And yeah, I mean, we can.
We have talked about that over the years, to have like something like once a month, one of Rinpoche's books, everybody reads it for the meeting, and then there's discussion. I still think it's a really good idea, because you get the in-depth coverage taking a class, but there's another, for those who maybe don't have that much time or whatever, would keep them from taking multiple classes, the idea that like you just have a discussion group once a month, online.
I like that. And an extended time, maybe not just an hour, but as a study group comes together.
Yeah, like a book club.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many wonderful.
Right, yeah. Often these books are such that a chapter could hold the attention for.
Absolutely, and
So
indefinitely.
Yeah,
You
that's
keep
right, yeah.
returning to it each year,
Right,
perhaps.
Right.
But having the human teacher
yeah,
as well as the print teacher, that's the ideal, I think.
yeah. I mean, that's, well, there's, yeah, and touching the inner teacher as well with that,
Exactly.
that process, yeah. So you have to excuse me, I have a little tickle that is connected with a head cold or head. Anyway, sometimes have to cough a little bit, but it's not infectious. I went to the doctor. I just got anyway, so it doesn't. All right. One of the book's basic themes is that it makes it clear that we really have to take stock of our own experience, just like in the way that you're saying, and we have to honestly and directly deal with anything that arises. And he says that this is needed to be done before any proper kind of spiritual direction can be established in one's life. In particular, we really need to deal with the reality of impermanence and death. We have to begin there. Suffering, facing the inevitable frustrations and suffering of this life. So, this book opens with this question of impermanence and frustration, and it deals with the need to begin honestly and take responsibility for our lives. Cultivate the qualities that are central to your understanding of what fulfillment as a human being can be. And don't restrict yourself just to a small level. Oh, I'm happy and content.
Just sitting.
Just yes, as you also can be enlightened, or are enlightened, or maybe not you, but there is enlightenment. So that's really important. And what's kind of noteworthy here in the cover of this new book is that the back page has a couple of blurbs by Susan Salzberg and Robert Thurman. If you recognize these names, Robert Thurman's a great Tibetan scholar, and he just recently passed away. This might have been one of his last endorsements for a book, and Susan Salzberg is well known as a more popular writer on meditation, and I think that this is kind of rare that Dharma Publishing is using blurbs from other scholars, but Rinpoche's work is, I think, not as well known as it should be. And it's perhaps because his work really demands the attention, the scholarly attention that is needed, the careful concentration of a scholar, but it's not really scholarly. And it's really practical, as any self-help book could be, but it's really not addressed to the self-help crowd, so it's really digging in deep into the idea of meditation, this themes of meditation that we see discussed in these other three books from his students. It's really a practice to open our response to whatever arises. And in fact, he says, meditation is not a state to be achieved at all. It's an awakening awareness to the richness of experience. And he writes that on a deeper level of understanding, meditation is the whole of mind itself. And he says, you're not, 75, you're not trying to learn meditation. You are that. You are the meditation. All that you experience are the meditation. So it's very, you might wonder, okay, so awakening the balanced mind. What's that balanced mind? Where's the balanced and unbalanced mind? And he has a passage here where he talks about awareness being more like completely open space rather than an awareness of something. which we might ordinarily think, I'm aware of this computer, I'm aware of you here in the computer world, I'm aware of you in this room. And all of that is, I think that if you think about that there's kind of a leaning in to it. It's like, I don't know, maybe, when I'm aware of something, I'm kind of reaching out to that object that I'm aware of. And in leaning forward, I kind of become unbalanced. I mean, that I grasp at the object of desire, or I kind of lean forward, and I'm knocked off balance. It might not mean anything to you, this description that I'm providing, but it's kind of a way, an example I sense sometimes, like leaning towards, I'm getting off balance. So, that's just to contrast the idea of like, well, an awareness that accepts whatever arises with kind of equilibrium, with a willingness to accept experience without accepting or rejecting, any part of myself or my experience. It says on 72, trying to further this understanding, he says, meditative awareness is like completely open space. But this experience is not space as we commonly understand it, because awareness is not a place, and it does not have any particular form or shape. This experiential space is neither locatable outside the body nor merely inside the mind. It's not reducible to what we label as mental or physical. Instead, awareness entails a deep and integrated sense of stillness, openness, and balance. That's the experience of profound meditation. It says, meditation is already part of our nature, with no need to try to accomplish some goal, since trying itself becomes an obstacle to relaxation. Pushing yourself too hard or attempting to follow a rigid set of instructions may cause problems. When you exert too much effort, you can find yourself getting caught between getting something and not getting it. Is my meditation good, or is my meditation poor? Striving instead of releasing make your internal reports to yourself. Striving instead of releasing, you make internal reports to yourself while trying to force silence. When you try conceptually to experience the perfect meditation, you end up creating endless internal conflicts or inner dialogues. If I had that paragraph, I would have shared that with my friend Bob at my reunion. This is really what, so at the very least, you can say the way Rinpoche is approaching awareness and meditation here in this book is taking meditation out of the realm of exotic experience that I have and places it squarely in kind of the immediacy of our lives. Balance is not static, like building like putting bricks on top of bricks, building some kind of a tower, but it's more like a flowing balance of energy. So its balance is connected to this kind of self-healing rather than to achieving any particular state. So that depends on opening the heart, awakening places in us that we've closed off, and that we can, so that activating that energy, balancing that energy, is a way that we can begin to engage and not only enjoy life more fully, but also deepen our understanding of the world and its suffering. So In other words, we come to appreciate our own value and experience and potential. And I keep on coming back to this, whether or not the really sense and really believe that enlightenment is possible or full awakening is possible. If we kind of pull back from that, and that's it. But anyway, a key chapter in developing this kind of relaxed awareness and balanced energy is called expanding feeling. And here he writes in expanding feeling that he says, we all have within us the resources to be healthy and balanced. Living in balance is simply a matter of living in balance is simply a matter of directing and utilizing our energies properly. This direction, however, is not a matter of forced or disciplined control. It's a natural process that begins to function when we learn to relax and utilize certain skillful ways of breathing, feeling, and thinking. This skillful approach to life helps us to adjust our inner balance and allow our energies to flow more freely. So I'd like to do this practice with you now from this chapter on expanding feeling. I find it really helpful to follow its instructions here. Other people, people can find their way into meditation and their own practice, but it's fun to share good practices that you enjoy with others. So let's begin here with taking 3 deep breaths. And feel the body relax as you exhale. Sense the whole body sitting here. Then gently rub your hands together. Generate some warmth and friction in your hands. And once you get some warmth there, bring it to your head and any areas of tension you might feel, and gently massage your head and face. And slowly work your way down the body with this free massage. The idea is not so much to make yourself feel good, as much as it is just to stimulate feeling along the skin and the body. Oh, you can bring feeling energy as you rub the arms. Sense of almost like you're taking a shower in this. Bringing, slowly working your way down. You're stimulating the skin. So we actually have something to work with here. Go all the way down your legs, even all the way down to your feet and toes. Providing some warmth and heat to help you settle into a meditation. You can sitting and back into sitting, and use the glow from the skin or sense of warmth radiating from you, from this friction stimulating the skin. And relax into that feeling. There are certain places that are still tight and uncomfortable. You can relax those, tending to it with your but let yourself feel the skin tingling, the warmth radiating from the body. Thoughts intrude, just go back to the feeling quality. Relax into that sense of warmth. Now turn your attention to the movement of the breath. Sense the movement of the torso and diaphragm as you breathe in. Exhale out. Rises and falls. It stimulates an inner massage. Feel this more clearly. Inhale and hold the breath for a while. Then slowly exhale. Watching all the while for that soft inner heat of the movement of the breath. Once you sense an inner warmth from that breathing massage, it's almost like sunshine on the inside. Relax and expand into that feeling, warm sensation. is connected with the breath. Imagine that feeling of warmth can expand into a vast space around you. Relaxing into that feeling, body almost disappears, part of a vast openness. From that feeling. Relax the mind, any thoughts into just feeling opening into this vast space. Swimming, feeling of joy. As many practices and discussions to lead us towards self-healing. It says on 95, each day we can expand our awareness so that awareness flows freely and naturally. We don't need any other preparation. We may try to meditate for many years without success, but with this openness, in a very short time, we can learn to meditate perfectly with no trouble at all. When we meditate with such openness and leave all doubts and hesitations behind, our inner guidance automatically leads us to the teachings within. In some ways, this book is really leads us to this idea that this meditation can be all the time. You're working with awareness, you're working with what arises in experience, and watch how you deal with it, but also be connected with what is happening. Really takes us on a journey, this book, about how to care for ourselves and understand the potential of our lives. I think it really remains a relevant book for our time, like Gesture of Balance, but its revision gives us a little bit, oh yeah, that's different, So, just to review here, those three books, with three of Rinpoche's elder students? No, longtime students. Robin Caton, Undream Self, Ron Purser, Mindspace, and Jack Petranker, One with the World. Really good books, helpful for negotiating our experience. And if you want a little extra reading, Guardians of the Dharma from Mongol Press. Forgive my crassness here. Yeah. NI student is what you, the code you want. So, okay. Just for you. Okay, so any other comment from anyone that, no? Yes? Well, thank you for your attentiveness. I hope you enjoyed the practice and continue to work with awareness.